Imagine boarding a flight, a normal day, a routine journey. You fasten your seatbelt, hear the engines roar to life. But what you don't know is this flight will become one of the most dangerous ever recorded in aviation history. Some were brought down by weather, some by human error, and others by pure chance. In this video we'll explore real-life flights where technology was pushed to its breaking point, where pilots faced impossible choices, and where survival came down to seconds. Stay with us to learn about a cargo plane hijacked mid-air, where the crew had to fight for their lives. And another, where a simple miscommunication led to the deadliest disaster the skies have ever seen. These aren't just stories, they're lessons engraved in aviation history, reminding us how fragile flight can be. This is Explore Aviation. If you're passionate about the skies and the untold stories that come with them, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our growing crew of aviation enthusiasts. Now let's dive into the skies, where safety is never guaranteed. Before we talk about the improvements in aviation safety, we have to look back at one of the darkest days in flight history, March 27, 1977. Two massive Boeing 747s, one operated by KLM, the other by Pan Am, found themselves rerouted to Los Rodeos Airport in Tenerife, due to a terrorist incident at their original destination. The airport, already small and busy, was now overcrowded. But what turned a delay into disaster was the weather. Fog rolled in, thick and blinding. Air traffic control struggled to keep up. Pilots were on edge. In that dense fog, communication had to be perfect. But it wasn't. The KLM captain misunderstood a message. He believed he had clearance to take off, but the Pan Am plane was still taxiing on the same runway. The result? A horrifying collision. Both planes burst into flames. In seconds, 583 lives were lost. This remains the deadliest accident in aviation history. And it wasn't caused by a mechanical failure or a storm, it was human miscommunication. A simple misunderstanding between cockpit and control tower. Before we talk about the importance of aircraft maintenance checks, we need to revisit one of the most heartbreaking tragedies in aviation. August 12, 1985. Japan Airlines Flight 123, a Boeing 747, takes off from Tokyo, bound for Osaka. Just 12 minutes into the flight, something goes terribly wrong. A loud noise echoes through the cabin. The rear pressure bulkhead has ruptured violently. The tail section tears open, and with it, every hydraulic line is severed. With no hydraulic power, the pilots lose almost all control of the aircraft. Yet in a desperate effort, they fight to keep the plane in the air, managing to stay airborne for 32 agonizing minutes. Inside, passengers knew something was wrong. Some even wrote farewell notes to loved ones. The jet ultimately crashes into Mount Takamagahara, killing 520 of the 524 people on board. An investigation later revealed a shocking cause. The bulkhead had been improperly repaired years earlier. One mistake hidden inside the structure ended hundreds of lives. Before we talk about modern mid-air collision prevention, we have to go back to one of the deadliest aerial crashes in history, one that happened without a single warning alarm. On November 12, 1996, a Saudi Arabian Airlines Boeing 747 had just taken off from New Delhi. At the same time, a Kazakhstan Airlines Ilyushin Il-76 was descending into the same airspace. Both planes were on converging paths. The skies looked calm. But something was dangerously wrong. Air traffic control gave clear altitude instructions, but there was confusion in the cockpit of the Kazakh plane. Miscommunication and language barriers led to a fatal misunderstanding. The Kazakh flight began descending below its assigned level, right into the path of the Saudi jet, and with no secondary radar to verify exact positions, no alarms, the two aircraft collided mid-air. Within seconds, 349 lives were lost. It remains the world's deadliest mid-air collision. This tragedy exposed serious gaps in communication protocols and radar systems, and it pushed Indian authorities to make traffic collision avoidance systems mandatory in all aircraft flying in the region. Before we talk about system redesigns and engineering upgrades, we need to look at a flight that went from routine to disaster, without warning. On May 26, 1991, Lauda Air Flight 004, a Boeing 767, took off from Bangkok on a quiet night, heading toward Vienna. Everything seemed normal, until it wasn't. While cruising over the mountains of Thailand, the aircraft suddenly veered off course. The pilots had no time to react. A thrust reverser on one of the engines deployed mid-flight, something that should never happen in the air. This caused instant asymmetry in thrust. The aircraft lost balance. It rolled sharply and began to break apart. There was no chance for recovery. Just minutes later, the plane crashed in the jungle below. All 223 people on board were killed. Investigators traced the cause to a mechanical failure. A flaw in the system allowed the reverser to activate without any command. Until then, the risk had only been theoretical. The disaster forced Boeing and aviation regulators to rethink engine safety. New safeguards were added to prevent reverser deployment during flight. Before we talk about advanced cockpit security, let's rewind to a day when survival came down to raw courage, instinct, and teamwork at 30,000 feet. On April 7, 1994, FedEx Flight 705 took off from Memphis, bound for San Jose. On board were just 3 crew members, and 1 extra passenger, a FedEx employee named Auburn Calloway. But Calloway wasn't on board to travel. He had a deadly plan. Armed with hammers and a spear gun, he intended to hijack the plane and crash it. All to make his death look accidental and secure a life insurance payout for his family. Just minutes into the flight, he launched a brutal attack. The cockpit became a battleground. Despite being seriously injured, the crew refused to give up. With broken bones and blood everywhere, the pilots and flight engineer fought him off, while still flying the aircraft. One pilot even rolled the plane violently, trying to disorient the attacker. It worked. Somehow they regained control and managed to land the DC-10 safely back in Memphis. The hijacker survived, but so did everyone else, thanks to the crew's extraordinary bravery. This incident shocked the aviation world. It proved how essential in-flight emergency training really is, and it led to stronger security protocols, especially for cargo flights. Before we close, let's take a moment to reflect. These flights weren't just stories of disaster, they were moments that changed aviation forever. From fatal collisions to heroic mid-air battles, every incident forced the industry to evolve, improving safety, communication, and engineering for all of us who take to the skies. Have you heard of any other flights that push the limits of aviation? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you found this video insightful, please give it a like. It really helps more people discover these important stories. And don't forget to subscribe to Explore Aviation for more powerful stories from the skies. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode.